Hello, Starcraft fans. This is Falcon Paladin coming to you with the very first episode of Into the Void. This is Tau versus ENN on Ulrena. I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce that. This is the first time I've ever cast a game on this map, and I'm pretty sure it's Ulrena, but if not, let me know in the comments and I'll get that fixed right away. Alright, so you heard that correctly. This is Into the Void. This is the very first episode of a series where I will be showcasing lower level players in an educational and hopefully entertaining way. I know there have been other casters in the past who kind of had this idea, but I think the intent for me is more to encourage players who are kind of low on the ladder to continue to work hard and to improve and find ways they can improve. Because I know for me what's most discouraging is on the ladder where I feel like there's nothing I can do better, then I'm just going to be stuck here where I am. I'm never going to achieve my goals, and it can be very discouraging indeed. So for Tau and ENN here, I'm going to go ahead and be a little bit more, like I said, more friendly, more helpful, and hopefully this should help some of the lower players who watch my channel as well. So this was submitted to me at falconpaladin@gmail.com. I'm not going to tell you who sent it to me, but again, if you have a bronze level, silver level replay you want to send on over, please hit me up at that address. I'll check it out, or I'll send it to my screener Squeaks, and he will check it out, and we'll see which ones are good for casting and good for this Into the Void series. All right, so Ulrena, interesting map indeed. You start on the left sides here, and then you can kind of expand all the way, like crazy big, lots of places to go. And are there any gold bases? That's my question. I wasn't really paying attention. Yes, gold base way down there. If you want to hold that one so far from your main, go ahead and give it a shot. That's what I always say. Alright, so it looks like both players are playing fairly standard at this point. Nothing too crazy to talk about. It's going to be spawning pools, extractors, additional hatcheries as well. Overlord scouting is also pretty good as well. Look at that. Tau scouting getting right on in there. I like the positioning of this Overlord from Tau. It is able to see what's going on, but when the Queen pops, the Overlord can get out of there pretty quickly. Perhaps over here is not quite far enough away, but I think this area should be. So again, I think he will be able to escape before he dies. Same thing here for ENN. Just got a quick scout on in here, and I would have maybe liked to see him stick around. No, he did actually see the Roach Warren coming up. So good play there indeed. He'd make sure there's another hatchery at the same time, and there is. This is not a crazy one-base play, because if you lose to an early pool, it makes you feel very, very sad. Please, please scout that out. But both players do seem to be familiar with this map. I like to see that indeed. The APM is about average of 48 to 50. Again, not the highest. This is Into the Void, after all. Tau sending an Overlord out to scout. I like this as well, especially in ZVZ. There just aren't that many things that can kill Overlords that are scouting in the early parts of the game. Roaches can't shoot up. Lynx can't shoot up. Queens can shoot up, but again, unless you find a base where there are queens, you're going to be able to fly around as much as you please. So again, Tau sending a guy out, and ENN holding onto this area with the rocks. I like that, trying to see what's coming out by way of through those rocks. It looks like the way to get from your base to your opponent's base is going to be down here. Yep, through this tiny, tiny little choke, through another tiny little choke, and then arrive at your opponent's base. Are there other options? There are debris there, and you can go, looks like, the long way around if you want to attack as well. So your choices are super tiny choke, or get through the rocks, or take the long way around. Very interesting indeed. This Overlord is suiciding itself to coming in. I do like to see that, but gonna go ahead and make sure nothing else crazy is happening. Is gonna see the Roach Horn, which you already knew about, and the extractor as well as the spawning pool. So nothing too insane indeed. A third base is just about to pop for ENN, which means he has the advantage unless Tau can kill him with these roaches. That's another thing. And with ZVZ, you can either try to out-expand your opponent and hope they don't kill you early, or get units out and hope they don't out-expand you before you can kill them. It's kind of a weird macro style there, a weird meta game. So it's going to be Lings and Queens against Roaches. Again, this is not a very good matchup at all for ENN. Tau taking out all of the Lings, and also coming on up here doing a fairly solid attack on these Queens as well. One falls. Roaches of ENN's own popping out at just the last second. Can he get there? I don't know what to tell you, but no, all the Roaches are starting to fall. The Queen dies as well. That's another Queen that has died here for ENN. And just Roach on Roach battles here. Again, they are very slow. This Roach has very low energy, but is going to go for some drones and then come back to the rest of the group to try to finish off the enemy Roaches, and they do outnumber them fairly well. But more Roaches popping out, and you making use of this larva super effectively well. Another couple of Roaches coming up indeed Tau has a lot of minerals and quite a bit of gas. I would like to see actually some workers on this extractor. He'd be able to support a lot more roaches. This roach attack could have been a lot more consistent instead of just kind of trickling them in here one or two at a time. And now you'll see that N definitely has the upper hand. This roach is forced to retreat. So again, I feel like Tau could have won that game if he'd had workers on this gas, so he had more gas available. If his injects could have been going on, we'll notice the queen is already at 74 energy. You'll want to keep those queens on. I know it's difficult early Zerg players to get your injects completely consistently on time and ready to go, but either way, practice that and you will get better. There's an inject. A little bit late, but again, better late than never is what I always say. The roaches from N come right on in, and they're going to force a cancel on this base. Yes, that's another thing you do want to do, newbie players, is cancel that. You'll get the money back instead of just letting it die, not getting that refund. So Lings trying to get us around, trying to hold off these blue roaches from N until the spine crawlers pop. And indeed, they're actually going to chase them all the way back home. This is enough roaches and Lings to probably kill them. There would be casualties on Tau's side, but I like the aggressiveness. Too often in these lower level plays, what we will see is players just sitting in their base, so afraid to move out, especially in ZVZ, where moving out can be the instant, the moment between life and death for anybody. Roaches, roach on roach action here. The roaches decide to avoid the battle and go right for workers, going for those civilian casualties, and then changing his mind, coming back around, trying to get a good concave and taking out yet another roach. At this point, Tau has lost 14 roaches, N has lost 14 roaches, so pretty even deaths from both those sides. N's roaches trying to poke on in. Again, I like the target switching here. Again, many lower players will sometimes get so focused on killing a hatchery they won't notice they're under attack from the enemy until it's too late and all their units are dead. But you'll notice here that Tau is, yes, he does recognize he's being attacked. He's going to run away if the unit for the other side of the army is too big. Maybe try to do some kiting back, but no. Going to get the heck on out of there, making a lot of drones here as N. I like that play. That's something you can do as well. If you feel like you forced off an attack from your opponent, you can drone up. Here is Zerg. More Lings come on in, though, along with roaches, and it's going to be a very close battle. Reinforcing Lings come in. I do highly recommend you get Metabolic Boost. I know it's 100 minerals and 100 of gas, and it's pretty expensive early on in the game, but they're just, Lings are so much better when they have speed. They can get surrounds on units better, and even though we cleaned up this army, I feel like it would have been a little bit better if the Lings had speed available to them. Lings popping out from N. More Lings coming from the backside, trying to get a surround on these roaches. Lings are good against roaches if they have the same upgrades and if they can get a surround on those roaches, just like happened there. Wow, nicely done, Zerglings. No roaches available, continuing to send them across the map. And now this is where a better player would pretty much stomp either of these guys, I think. There's been time enough here to tech up. You'll notice they have enough minerals and enough gas to do something like get, I don't know, get Mutalisks and tech switch it up, get some Lurkers or Hydralisks to supplement your army. The lair is coming up for N, but it's a little bit late. I know there's been a lot of consistent attacks, some consistent pressure, but at the same time, you really got to keep that tech up before your enemy shows up with tier 3 units and you are stuck on tier 1.5. I don't think either of these players are getting roach speed either. That's something I absolutely want every Zerg player to get, is glial reconstitution. Again, speed roaches are so much better than slow roaches, just like the Lings. Not even getting a cancel off on that evolution chamber. And here we go, just sitting at a pretty good choke point here, outnumbering the roaches of N. Spire on the way for Tau, exactly what I like to see indeed. Evolution chamber for those upgrades, definitely good at the same time. This queen trying to run, but she's so slow, he does get taken down by the roaches, who are going to be able to finish the job and kill this third base. Now it is officially 2-8-2 base. Tau is down 38 to 55 total harvesters. However, the question is his army supply big enough to where he can make this work? Let's see what we're going to do. Spending here on army is about even for both of these players. More and more Lings are coming across the map for Tau, keeping the pressure up on N. I'd like to see maybe another spine crawler and maybe in a better position here for N, just because these aren't speedlings. They're not going to run behind you and kill your mineral line in 10 seconds flat. They are slowlings. You can catch these ones. Deciding to move up the ramp, seeing a lot of roaches and 2 spines. At this point, I think I back out. And is Tau going to? Yes, changes his mind once, but does eventually decide to head on home. More roaches coming up as well through that tiny, tiny choke. Lings are being produced. Lings and roaches, the speedlings. Ravagers being morphed on in. All right. I do like to see Ravagers in this matchup, but the roach... Oh, Ravagers are ending up dead. The corrosive bile whiffs. Good dodge there indeed by N. And I think at this point, this is a battle that N is actually going to lose. And yes, all those roaches get cleaned up. There are very, very few left here for Tau. This base has still not been replanted. I like this ninja base going up for Tau as well. The spine crawler is getting repositioned. Again, exactly as I suggested. So well played there indeed. And representing Nemese. I don't recognize what that clan is, but that is A-okay. And there it is. There's the tech switch I was talking about. You make your opponent think you're going roaches all live long day. And then you get 10 Mutalisks, because you can do that as Zerg and pretty much go kill. Because you know what? I see a Spore Crawler. I see a Spire that's not quite finished yet. N has a lot of money, though. Ooh, if N could get up 15 mutas of his own. Let's see what he chooses to do here. Does he have enough larvae to do that is the question. 4 there. And yeah, it's enough to make 8. So 8's pretty good, but still, that's another reason why you want to inject. So you have larvae available for when you have 1500, and you have enough money as well. Enough ability to make as many mutas as you want. Corrosive Bile going up. Good use of the micro there. Getting right on top of the roaches. Mutalisk just raining down fire from above. Ravagers falling. Corrosive Bile again doing a little bit of damage to these roaches, but not a whole lot. The Mutalisk count is just very, very high indeed for both of these players. It is 11-2. Only 2 left for N though. And that's it. It's a GG from N. GG from Tau. And I think someone's going to leave the game here, but I don't actually know. So again, pretty darn fun match there, I'd have to say. Has anybody left? Is that just a GG? It was. The Spore Crawler taking out a few of these mutas. There are still, looks like, 7 total here for Tau. The hatchery is going to fall. I don't know why N has decided not to leave yet. More and more units are streaming across the map. That's another thing with muta versus muta battles in ZVZ is if you are outnumbered by 2 or 3 mutas, it can really snowball into quite a problem. So, I mean, what we saw there was there were quite a bit of mutas for ENN and for Tau. And you know what? These reinforcing mutas might be enough. Oh, and indeed they are. Look at that. He had a couple more mutas available than Tau did. Ooh, Corrosive Bile taking some stuff out, though. Mutas from above kill things, but fairly slowly, especially when speedlings or regularlings are around. Again, get that speed. Do not pay attention to Tau here. The drones are stacked up. Oh, so many drones are stacked up on these mineral patches. They're getting slowly whittled down by the lings, and that is it. N's defeated, Tau's victorious, and N has left the game. And Tau decides to leave as well. So again, ZVZ is tricky, man. It's so hard. One of the best ways to do it, though, is to keep up continuous pressure on your opponent, which is exactly what Tau did. He had units at the front door. He had units at the third base. He continually kept N guessing, kept him on his back foot, but eventually did manage to win and to get the victory against his fellow member of the Swarm. I like this ninja base as well. I don't think N scouted for it. If it was scouted just by a couple speedlings, it could have shut this down fairly quickly. So that's another reason why you definitely want to scout. All right. So this has been Falcon Paladin with the first inaugural edition of Into the Void. I hope you enjoyed yourself today. I'm going to go ahead and do these once every week on Friday night. Post it at about, I want to say 10 p.m. Eastern time. For those of you who are up late partying, you can watch Falcon Paladin as well. So we'll get that up here on a consistent basis. Send me your Bronze League lobby replays. If you have any specific questions you want answered in the cast as well, please include that in your email to falconpaladin@gmail.com, and I'll see what I can do about answering them. So again, thanks for sending that in, and fantastic stuff. Go ahead and you can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook, all at /Falcon Paladin. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe if you like what you heard and what you saw today. Go ahead and stick around after the end of the cast to catch the music by Seabeats. You can find him at SoundCloud. The URL is available there at the same time, and I have a new store. So check that out if you want a t-shirt that says I'd rather be gaming with a really awesome looking Zerg, Protoss, or Terran logo. Also some Game of Thrones mashups you can check out there as well. And Falcon Paladin shirts, I think they turn out pretty snazzy. Just give those a look. So that's about it. Again, thank you so much for watching, and everybody who's been supporting the channel through all these months. I really love each and every one of you, and until next time, you take care of yourself.